Why does a camper have to be based on a van? Volkswagen doesn't think it does and wheels out this 7th generation MPV-based California model as proof. Despite dispensing with commercial routes, it's more practical and versatile than ever before. My name's Jonathan Crouch. I've been testing cars for over 40 years. You'll find them all on the Car and Driving Car Reviews app. Here, I'm going to try and tell you everything that you really need to know about this one in a way that you'll find nowhere else. Let me hand you over to our presenter, Colin.
Want a family vehicle you could really live with and live in? Yes, really. Here we're going to look at Volkswagen's revitalised 7th generation California camper. This isn't just a different kind of Volkswagen California, it's a different kind of camper, full stop. Until now, campers have always been based on vans. Certainly the California model lineage always has been, with roots going all the way back to 1950s motorhome conversions of the brand's original Type 2 van. More recent Californias have been based on the Wolfsburg maker's Transporter LCV. But this 7th generation version switches for the first time to a car-derived platform, the MQB architecture, used for all of Volkswagen's medium-sized combustion models. That's because for this new California generation, the fundamentals are not from the new generation Transporter commercial, as many had expected, but from the large Multivan MPV. Keeping the California Transporter based would have enabled introduction of an EV variant, but the brand has planned a camper version of the ID Buzz to fill that niche. Instead, this Mark 7 California offers the option of plug-in hybrid tech and cheerfully embraces all the practical advantages that adoption of the long wheelbase multivan platform gives it. And it's worth noting that Volkswagen remains the only brand that designs and builds its campers entirely in-house. You can find out more about this kind of motorhome by downloading the Car and Driving app. But if your interest is specifically in this California, you'll need to stay with us for the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test. Apart from a very brief spell with petrol power, the old T6 era California was only ever offered in the UK with diesel power. But there's a much wider range of 4-cylinder power plants available with this new generation version. You can still have a diesel, of course, the usual Volkswagen 150 PS 2-litre TDI unit most will continue to choose. It makes 62 miles an hour in 12.4 seconds and has plenty of pulling power to haul this 2.3-tonne apartment on wheels past Sunday dawdlers. The other conventional powertrain is the petrol power plant we're trying here, the 204 PS 2-litre TSI, which uses the same 7-speed DSG auto gearbox and offers more performance, 62 miles an hour from rest in 10 seconds, though you'll hardly ever use that because it'll send fuel consumption through the roof. See instead if you can stretch to an engine option that's rare to find with a camper, plug-in hybrid power. In this case, VW's 1.5-litre e-hybrid PHEV unit, which works via a 6-speed DSG auto and has enough EV battery range for regular local school runs and shopping trips, 54 miles in all. That 245 PS PHEV version's got a useful slug more power too, though a bigger draw will be the fact that unlike most Volkswagen PHEVs, it comes with 4-motion 4-wheel drive, which will be a boon on slippery campsites. Though with only 162 millimetres of ground clearance, you'll still have to be pretty careful. The downside of going with the pricey PHEV version is that the usual 2,000 kilogram California towing weight falls to just 1,600 kilograms. If you're heading out to town in any version of this Volkswagen, you'll be pleased to know that the height of this motorhome remains compatible with garages and multi-storey car parks. Around town and on narrow country roads, like the Multivan MPV it's based on, the California feels the prodigious size that it is, but as advertised, it's much more car-like than the previous generation van-based model, though the DSG auto gearbox can be just as hesitant as it was before, even if you have a version with drive modes and select the most urgent of them, Sport. The other settings are Eco, Comfort and Individual. As you'd hope, this new era California copes much better than its predecessor with life on the open road. Potholes and speed humps no longer send tremors through the body structure because that chassis is now so much stiffer. Plus, the suspension setup's been optimised and on certain models is available with extra cost, dynamic chassis control, adaptive damping if you want it. Roll through the bends has been reduced by about 25%, so you pitch about significantly less than is the case with rivals, and the steering's far more direct, though doesn't have much feedback. Should you be running late for the school run, you can actually even drive with a bit of enthusiasm. And you sit a little further back than in the old California in a driving position that's less upright. Most of us are used to sitting behind camper vans holding up the traffic. Well, there's no excuse for that in this one. It's a long way from Wolfsburg to California. And this mid-sized Volkswagen motorhome is a long way from the kind of huge RV a West Coast US native would recognise. But as you can see, it's still pretty big. In fact, rather surprisingly, this 5,173mm long Multivan MPV-based model is bigger by 269mm than its Transporter van-based T6 predecessor, though only because it's based on the super big extended wheelbase version of that Multivan. All variants get a standard awning on the passenger side of the vehicle, and you can add another on the driver's side to potentially double your available camping space. There's a California badge under each front quarter-light window, with the trim designation under the rearmost windows near the provided 230-volt camping plug socket. Wheel sizes can be anywhere between 16 and 19 inches. We've got anthracite 18-inch Toshima rims here. What Volkswagen hasn't thought to include, though, is the self-levelling suspension setup you can have on a rival Mercedes V-Class Marco Polo, which is a boon if your allocated campsite plot turns out to be on a bit of an incline. You might also be surprised to learn that this is the first California generation to offer sliding doors on both sides. And that's important, not only because it means you can get the kids or the grandchildren in and out more safely, but also because it means that the kitchen, with a hob, a sink and now larger worktops, are accessible from outside for the first time. This reconfigured kitchen with its smaller but more easily accessed drawer-style fridge makes it possible to cook outside too, though with this new model there's only one gas ring rather than two. All this, of course, assumes that you get a kitchen in your California. The base beach camper version doesn't have one, allowing it to fit in a third rear passenger seat, though with that variant you can still put on a brew via a single ring gas burner that slides out from a compartment in the boot. Normally, though, your California will be like this one, with two separate rear chairs, which are much nicer than the previous generation model's bench, though some storage space, particularly underseat storage, has been lost as a result of this change. All of which creates room for this improved kitchenette, which is far more space efficient than the one fitted to the old design and now features a pull-out cool box. Dedicated campers will also be pleased to find that the gas cylinder is now much easier to access via a small door in the low compartment. For our market, all models get the passenger side awning we mentioned earlier, which winds out to create a covering for the folding outdoor table. In the old model, this, when flattened, was housed in a rear door pocket, but it's now housed more conveniently under the lower bed platform. The now higher-backed outdoor chairs provided for sitting around it live in a compartment on the tailgate. If you owned the old model, you'll note that everything now seems much better laid out and storage space is everywhere with plenty of drawers and cupboards. All the vehicle's various camping functions can be operated via the central screen up front. via a California app you can load onto your phone, or via this neat, though slightly slow responding, 5-inch display on the C-pillar. With this, you can operate the fridge or heater, check water and waste levels, adjust power supply status, vary cool box controls, and activate Bluetooth connectivity. This little screen has a useful camping mode, which stops the headlights coming on when you lock or unlock the vehicle, which will be handy in the dead of night in a packed campsite. If you've got the powered pop-up roof fitted, you can also use this screen to raise or lower that, and when everything's raised, there'll be enough room to stand up when the bed isn't in place, obviously. Ah yes, beds. Now what about sleeping arrangements? Well, there are 2 decently sized beds. One you get with the rear seats folded and an upper bedroom that reveals itself when you activate the pop-up roof, which you'll have to do manually unless you opt for this top ocean spec model. That's quite fiddly. The roof's canvas sides don't necessarily fold in when the roof lowers, as is quite a lot else you'll need to pull into place to create overnight accommodation. Building the lower bed involves sliding and folding the rear seats into position, then flipping out the mattress. Getting to the upper bed might be difficult for older folk because there aren't any steps provided. But once you're up there, the sprung mattress is pretty comfortable, and there are 3 zip-up vents that let in air and light but keep bugs out. This upstairs area isn't insulated, so if you're planning to use it during the winter months, you'll need to have budgeted extra for the integrated camper parking heater. That feature only comes as standard with this top ocean trim. Overall, Volkswagen's thought a lot more carefully about owner usability with this new generation model. Light sleepers will benefit from an advanced blackout system with removable storage pockets being added for the rear side windows, integrated roller blinds on the sliding doors and tailgate, and a new integrated windscreen shade. Plus, there are slightly fiddly to assemble magnetic shades for the front side windows. Downstairs, last thing at night, you can double tap the little B-pillar screen to turn off all the background LED lighting, just like you might in a luxury hotel room. The leisure batteries hold enough charge for about 60 hours of light in summer, though that might halve in winter if you're using the heater constantly. What else? Well, various USB-C and 3-pin sockets are scattered around the interior. The 3-pin ones usable only when the vehicle's connected to mains electricity. These passenger seats can be positioned almost wherever you want on these silver floor rails, or if you're strong of back and have somewhere to put them, they can be lifted out entirely. If you sat back here as a passenger, there are overhead vents and reading lights, plus pockets in the front seat backs. If you specified the powered side doors, this button on the B-pillar operates them. Okay, let's take a look out back. Now, warning, the tailgate is heavy. It has to be because of the use of stiff gas struts able to support the weight of several rack-mounted bikes, which makes it all the more disappointing that it can't be had with powered operation, even as an option. But at least once it's raised, it's so large, you could shelter beneath it from the elements. Now, as usual in a camper, because of the bed platform, the actual amount of boot space you get is restricted, so you'll have to pack carefully and make full use of all the various stowage spaces in the main body of the vehicle, like these zip-up side compartments on the right. To help with that at night, lights are provided on the inner side of the tailgate with a switch to turn them off, so you don't drain the battery if the tailgate's raised for long periods. Investigate the cabinet on the left back here, and if you've avoided base trim, you'll find a shower head attachment under the base panel. Now let's finish with a look up front. Where predictably it's just as in a Multivan MPV, though in the case of this top spec version, California embossed seats and the buttons for the pop-up roof to the left of the centre screen are campervan giveaways. The digital Cockpit Pro instrument screen and the big 10-inch centre monitor give the dashboard a much more modern vibe than the old T6 version ever had. You can turn these front seats right around to face those at the rear, but a little irritatingly, you have to open the front doors in order to do so. Still, that's the kind of neat touch that might help to make you feel that blowing the pension fund was worthwhile after all. As you'd want in a motorhome, the driving position feels commanding, and that position and steering wheel are infinitely adjustable. So much so that from Kylie Minogue to giant haystacks, virtually anyone's optimum driving position is attainable. It's just a matter of finding it. The instrument screen offers the brand's usual choice of twin dial or twin box view formats, and the slightly slow to respond central touchscreen can have its home screen in widget sections or with rows of little icons for things like background lighting. Fiddly touch sliders for volume and climate control irritate as much as in other Volkswagen Group models, but there's quite a lot of cab stowage space, a dash top cubby, 2 levels of door pocket and an underseat drawer. But the glove box is smaller than it looks and there's nowhere to put your sunglasses. A fold-out lower centre panel reveals 2 USB-C ports and a 12-volt socket. There's quite a price increase over the previous generation model. As we filmed in autumn 2025, California pricing was starting from just over £63,000 for the base beach camper version, which comes with the lineup's 2 core drivetrain choices. A 150 PS 2-litre TDI diesel unit that drives the front wheels, or for nearly £8,000 more, a 245 PS 1.5-litre petrol PHEV with 4Motion all-wheel drive. The other 2 trim levels coast from just over £70,000 at launch, and this top Ocean version from just over £77,000 as we filmed also offer those 2 engine choices, but further add a 3rd power plant option, the 204 PS 2-litre TSI petrol engine we're trying here, which commands a premium of nearly £3,000 over the equivalent diesel. Whichever you choose, DSG auto transmission is of course mandatory. All models feature a pop-up roof and Sleep 4. So living out your motorhome dream is going to be expensive in one of these, but then it will be in whatever you choose in this segment. And you could get a very nice coach-built motorhome for this kind of money. Talking of camper coach builders, as we mentioned at the beginning of this film, it's worth noting that all the other campers in the class are created by brands who outsource motorhome development to outside specialists. Volkswagen designs the California entirely in-house. As we filmed, the cheapest choice in the sector was the Citroën Holidays at around £56,000. A Ford Transit Custom Nugget will cost you from just over £80,000 in comparable form, and for the only other mainstream car brand-based model in the sector, the Mercedes V-Class Marco Polo, you'll need around £90,000. Still, you never imagined the retirement beach house of your dreams to be cheap, did you? Talking of beaches, Volkswagen describes the base beach camper variant as its classic camper van. And even if you've money to burn, you might want to consider it because it's got space for more passengers than any other California model. It seats 5, though you do pay in usability terms for that, with more restricted kitchen arrangements. This base version includes a left side awning, rotatable front seats, 2 folding chairs housed in the tailgate compartment, a folding table, sliding windows, a 5-inch digital rear control panel and a 230-volt power supply. At this level in the range, your kitchen arrangements have to be dealt with by gas cooker ring and cutlery drawer compartments that slide out in the boot area. Other standard features fitted across the range include LED headlights with high beam assist, adaptive cruise control, front fog lights, LED tail lamps, an alarm, all-round parking sensors, a digital cockpit pro instrument screen and air conditioning. Media connectivity is dealt with by a 10-inch ready-to-discover central screen with an 8-speaker audio system, an App Connect wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you can progress further up the range, the next level is the Coast version, which reduces passenger capacity to 4 seats, but gets a larger, better package kitchen, including a fridge, extra cabinets, a sink and a second camper battery. Plus there's an outdoor shower connection, 2 additional camping batteries, a thermal windscreen and side cab window blinds. Away from camping stuff, at this level you get a Climatronic 3-zone climate system, a heated front windscreen and a rear view camera. In addition, the base version 16-inch wheels are replaced by smarter 17-inch Dundrod alloy rims. This top Ocean version gets all that, though with bigger 18-inch Toshima alloy wheels, plus an electro-hydraulic version of the pop-up roof. Extra driving features include IQ Light LED matrix headlamps, drive mode selection, and VW's semi-autonomous travel assist drive system. Up front, in an Ocean variant, the seats are heated and upholstered in mélange recycled fabric. Plus, at this level, there's navigation, ambient interior lighting, a wood-look floor covering, a leather-covered steering wheel, keyless entry, and a camper parking heater. Whatever kind of California you choose, you're probably going to want some options. Strangely, you can't add this top Ocean model's electro-hydraulically operating pop-up roof as a standalone extra. With the two lesser versions, you might like to add in a camper parking heater and navigation, and a driver's side awnings available to match the standard one on the passenger side. There's an advanced parking package to steer this big motorhome into spaces. Avoid base trim, and you can add the power sliding side doors that we've got here. Avoid this top spec, and you can add DCC adaptive damping. For the inside, you might like to add the smart Art Velours seat upholstery that we've got here. And if you don't want standard single colour paintwork, we've got Fortana Red here. There are 3 available two-tone paint combinations, and you can choose between 3 colours for the pop-up roof as well. While wheel sizes vary between 16 and 19 inches, and you can of course add the retractable tow bar we've got, and we can't imagine why you wouldn't want a spare wheel. Let's finish with a look at standard safety kit. You get front assist autonomous braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, lane assist, lane departure warning, intelligent speed assist, plus a driver alert system, dynamic road sign display, swerve support with turn off assist, side and curtain airbags for driver and front passenger, curtain airbags for the outer seats in the back, and a front centre airbag, all linked to an eCall emergency system. You won't be expecting a camper of this size to be particularly cheap to run, but Volkswagen hopes to surprise you here. The 2-litre TDI diesel manages up to 41.7 mpg on the combined cycle and 178 grams per kilometre, which in combination with the 58-litre fuel tank facilitates a range of well over 500 miles without refuelling. For this 2-litre TSI petrol model, the figures are rather different. Bests of up to 30.5 mpg and 210 grams per kilometre. The plug-in e-hybrid petrol version's worth a look. Yes, there's a big upfront price premium, but you'll save in fuel costs and taxation payments. As usual with PHEVs, the combined cycle fuel figure, here quoted at 313.9 mpg for the base version, is misleading, but if you get the kind of regular return you would from the diesel version, which is likely, then that's a win, particularly as you'll be paying tax based on this plug-in hybrid's official 21 grams per kilometre of CO2 figure. All California models are covered by what the brand calls its 5+ promise, which extends the usual 3-year, 60,000-mile Volkswagen warranty to 5 years and 100,000 miles. Gives you 5 years of roadside assistance with no mileage restriction, and promises that VW will pay for the first 5 services and the first 3 MOTs. It's worth factoring all of that into price comparisons you might be making with rivals. The paintwork warranty lasts for 3 years, and the California is protected by a 12-year anti-corrosion body warranty. As we've been telling you throughout this review, this is a very different kind of California, as it needs to be to fend off renewed segment competition. Basing a mid-sized camper of this size on a platform designed for a car rather than a van doesn't initially seem like a very good idea, but this VW pulls off this approach with impressive confidence. As you'd expect from the change of chassis, the ride and handling responses are now much less crude, but there's an upfront price to pay for that. If you don't mind that, and a few small caveats, slow responding touchscreens and a fiddly process for setting up the beds, there's much to like here. A fresh class standard has been set.